like Megan Thee Stallion says, I'd rather be a BITCH, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm tripping anyway. In the past, I was always so afraid. I always wanted to be liked by everybody. Now I don't care anymore. I don't care. I will call you out. I will cuss you out.
She's the one that'll save us all. Anilasita, the best friend, get you through it all. Anilasita, don't be scared, she can hear your soul. Anilasita, the bad bitch that's spiritual.
What is up, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, the spiritual bad bitch. My name is anilasita, and if you're new here, then you're lucky, and if you're back, then welcome back. I hope you're doing good today. I want to say that if you landed on this video, congratulations. You're meant to be here today, and this video is going to make you feel so insanely powerful that you're going to want to come back to this. Today we are talking about an era that is no other but the villain era. The villain era is essentially the highest frequency of all. As you continue to watch this video, you'll see why. Let me start with a story. This is not an era that I consciously chose to enter. It was an era that I was being pushed to enter. And understand, if this video reached your page and you are watching it right now, you're being pushed to enter it as well. The villain era is a spiritual consciousness that is rooted in fierce, protective, unapologetic self-love. The reason why I was forced to enter my villain era is honestly the same as any book or movie that you can watch about a villain. The villain story starts off with a regular person who's then betrayed, rejected, humiliated, or treated badly in some way. They keep getting burned trying to play by the rules. Eventually, the pain becomes too much, especially when they realize that nobody is coming to save them. So something inside of them cracks, and voila, that is where the villain is born. This is what happened to me when I broke up with my ex. It was a gradual cracking inside of me every time he emotionally abused me, every time he yelled at me, every time he tried to control me, every time he talked down on me, ridiculed me, and I felt like I was existing at the mercy of this dusty motherfucker. But see, the thing is that the villain isn't born overnight. It is gradual small steps that lead to the villain becoming the villain. For me, one of those ways was actually purchasing perfume. Sounds very random, but him and I would often get into fights over money. And perfume is one of those things that he considered a luxury that you shouldn't spend money on because it's so expensive. So every time that I purchased perfume for myself, it felt like a rebellious act that was slowly making me enter into this powerful version of myself that doesn't take shit anymore. Who would have known that perfume was my initiation into the villain era, a small rebellious step. Now I would love to mention the company ScentBird for you guys. It is a subscription-based perfume company where you pay a cheap fee and you get perfume sent to you every single month. This makes it affordable to get expensive perfume and smell like the bad bitch that you came here to be. I wanted to share these two that I got. This one is called Sexual Noir by Michel Germain. I think that's how you say it because it's French. And this is Vanilla Vibes by Juliette Has a Gun. I get a lot of compliments from this one. This one I had already used before because I've known about ScentBird and I've been using them. But this one, y'all, just tried it out, and every time I walk into a room, somebody starts a conversation with me about my perfume. So who would have known? Perfume is a great conversation starter, great confidence booster, great way to enter the villain era. Scan this QR code or use the code Anila55 to get 55% off your first month at ScentBird. You're gonna get your first fragrance for literally $8, and you get to change your fragrance every single month. So use the code Anila55 to get 55% off of it. The code will be in the description box as well as the link. Do check it out and let me know what you guys think of ScentBird, because I'm obsessed with them and I want to continue to work with them, so please check them out. Let's get back to the story though. So like I said, the villain era is not something that is going to happen instantaneously. It happens over time. It's an activation that is in your nervous system that takes time to accustom to, especially if you are a recovering people pleaser like me. When I decided to leave my ex-boyfriend, that was the ultimate rebellious act, because even his family, I knew that they were not going to understand me, as I shared in my breakup video. But the villain, she prioritizes and chooses herself like her fucking life depends on it. I also knew, of course, his family's not gonna understand, because I've been playing the good girl for like 2 fucking years. All I wanted was to feel like I was worthy of their love, as if love is something that you have to earn and win over, opposed to something that is given freely to you. Sacrificing myself so that these people could like me and approve of me, because mind you, I was living with them. Eventually, there was so much that was breaking inside of me by staying in that relationship, and also I had a lot of physical issues that I really had to ask myself, why am I justifying to myself to stay in a situation that is not right for me? It made no logical sense why I was choosing to stay there, until I realized it was conditioning. It was the fact that I'd been conditioned growing up in a narcissistic household with people who were the literal villain, but painted me out to be the bad guy anytime I chose myself. So choosing myself felt like a dangerous, rebellious act that would go against everything that I had learned in my life. Let me get back to the thing that I said at the very beginning of the video. The villain is actually the highest frequency of all. I want to get to this with some modern day example. Who is the villain and how can we connect to this character? In the modern world, the villain is the good girl who's exhausted and has had enough. It is the woman who is sick of protecting her man's ego, so she finally chooses to speak up for herself so that she can have an orgasm in bed and not lay there unsatisfied because she's too afraid to speak up for herself. The villain doesn't just advocate for herself, she actively commands to get what she wants. And she doesn't even do it with words, she does it with her energy, because the villain lives on a certain frequency. The villain is the woman who will finally stop shrinking herself or hiding her darkness because she is afraid of being abandoned by people or being disliked by people. It is the woman who no longer silences her truth out of a fear of looking like the bad guy in someone's story or being misunderstood. In any movie where you see the villain, it often is this radical shift of self-perception and taking control of the narrative. Let me give you some examples from actual shows. So you know Breaking Bad, there's Walter White, and he is initially a man who is dying of cancer, but he refuses to see himself as a victim, this suffering, dying man of cancer. What does he do? He creates his alter ego, Heisenberg, who is the villain. He takes charge of the narrative that way. I realized that this is exactly what becoming the villain is. It is a rewriting of your story, of your narrative. It is this feeling, especially in us women, of saying, I fucking had enough. I'm sick of living my life for other people. I am sick of molding myself so that I can be more consumable for you. I am sick of toning myself down because I feel like I'm too much. And the thing is this, the villain is not afraid of being misunderstood. They're not afraid of that. I would often have this thing, even with my YouTube, which whenever I would receive negative comments, I would identify with them way too much, and it would feel in some way like I was a bad person. Negative feedback or criticism from people always made me feel unsafe because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my own judgment. I didn't trust to know that I am a good person and to love myself as I actually am. And this is truly my journey with validation. For such a long time, I felt like I'm not good enough unless I receive a validation of this many people saying it is good what I'm doing. And now I'm learning I'm the only person that needs to validate myself. And I've also had to actively detach from like doing simple things like looking at comments, because I can't receive a positive compliment and take it to heart, but then not be affected by a negative compliment. They kind of go hand in hand. The villain doesn't give a fuck about either. She doesn't care if people cheer for her. She doesn't care if people are hating on her, because she's comfortably rooted in her truth, fiercely, unapologetically. Now, another thing that I have noticed, and this is kind of tying into the concept of self-love again. Like I told you, villain is the highest frequency of all. It is the utmost self-love that requires no external validation to be who they are. How can you love yourself, right? Because let's get into it. I know that a lot of you guys look up to me because you perceive me to be authentic and confident. Something that I have noticed, like an active, simple tip that I can give you that has to do with this villain energy and self-love, is you have to be comfortable with being on your own and accepting of your darkness. I want to mention another villain now from a show. Have you guys been watching You, the TV show You? Please write in the comments if you watched these shows that I'm talking about. Joe, the villain in You, right? What I find really interesting is I noticed that a villain is comfortable with their own darkness as well as calling it out in other people. A pattern that you see in the show You is Joe calling out these girls that he's dating. He calls out the people that are in their circle and says, she is not even your fucking real friend. She just wants to be in control of you. The first season with Beck, this happened with the friend Peach, who very much had this obsessive friendship with Beck. And Joe is the one that comfortably calls it out. And a lot of these characters, when they initially are confronted with this dark truth that Joe tells them, they negate it, they deny it, and they run from the conversation and they don't want to get into it. Where am I trying to go with this? A lot of people run from their darkness. They avoid it. They don't like it. They don't like confrontation. They don't like the discomfort of facing their own darkness. The problem with that is you cannot get to know your light as long as you are disconnected from your own darkness. A big part of my transition these last few months, coming out of the relationship that I was in and then facing manipulation over and over, as I told you guys in my previous video, different people that I met, I noticed that it was still me being in avoidance of my own darkness, of things that I didn't accept about myself. I don't even know if darkness is the right word, but we all have things inside of ourselves that we avoid. And the thing that I often avoided is the things that made me feel uncomfortable. So like the fact that I was a people pleaser and I knew that it stemmed from trauma, and I always had this really obsessive relationship with validation online as well as needing validation from people that I dated. Like I just really was not grounded in who I am and I did not love myself. But it was these last few months being so brutally confronted with my own darkness of I can't even blame these people who have come into my life and manipulated me, because there's a part of me that thought that was what I deserved. There's a part of me that was so used to that because it's the environment that I grew up around. And the villain was the final protector inside of me that said, enough, it's time to burn all fucking bridges and to embody this villain energy no matter how other people fucking feel about it. The good girl, who is the opposite of the villain, is the one who basically doesn't have needs. She'll do whatever needs to be done so that the other person can be satisfied. The villain, on the other hand, she fucking has needs and she's gonna advocate for them. Like I said in the beginning, she's not just gonna advocate for them, she's gonna command that she gets it. And if she doesn't get it, she moves on because she's comfortable with herself. I want you to ask yourself, now that you've seen this video, every time you're making decisions in your life or you are finding yourself responding to people in social situations, are you operating from the good girl complex or are you operating from the embodied, confident, self-loving, unapologetic villain queen? The people-pleasing will have your fucking voice stuck in your throat and your breath moving shallowly, whereas the villain sleeps calmly at night, knowing that her peace cannot be infiltrated by anything outside of her. The dark feminine truth that nobody can take away your power control you or decide your worth except for you. I had to turn the bathroom light off. By the way, shit, I didn't even say anything, but are we loving this wig, guys? I had to put it on for this video because I wanted to embody the villain this entire week. I don't know, are you guys feeling it? Like, I don't know. I just have different energies and characters that I like to step into, and that's precisely what this is about. Now, I wanted to share a little story with you, kind of coming back to what I was saying before about loving yourself. Another active tip that I have for you to love yourself is to stop being around people who make you feel bad about yourself. Like, it's really that simple. People are here to make you feel good. Life is already enough of a fucking struggle sometimes. It's not necessary to surround yourself with people that are not positive or that weigh you down. Sometimes it can be really hard to differentiate and to know who is a good friend and who is a bad friend. Now, I wanted to tell you the story about my ex-best friend because I feel like ending our friendship, me with him, I would have never fucking thought that our friendship was gonna end. Like, genuinely, he was an angel in my eyes. He was like a spiritual master who I had learned so much off of him, and we had so many memories of laughter and good times. It didn't strike me as traumatic, the relationship, until my heart obviously cracked the fuck open when I went through my breakup. Like, it was really rough. It felt like this whole illusion that I had of my life just shattered and went up in the air in a couple days. And my ex-best friend actually came to LA right after my breakup. He came because he was working on planes. And I was so astonished with how little emotional support I received during that time. And mind you, this breakup was the roughest of my life. I'd never dated anybody longer than 3 months. Whereas this guy I dated for 2 years, plus the only sense of community that I had in LA was his family and his friends. So it felt like not only was I grieving this relationship ending, but grieving this huge community, and I felt like here I am alone in fucking Los Angeles and I don't have anybody and I don't know what to do. But, you know, my best friend comes and I think to myself, this is gonna help me. But I received very little emotional support and found myself literally doing things helping him with his projects and his stuff. Meanwhile, I was still in such a dissociated, traumatized fucking state, dealing with all the stuff that I'd just gone through. But he treated it like it was nothing, like it wasn't a big deal, although it was to me. And this kind of kept continuing because I had this rash that came onto my body right after I broke up with my ex and I quit smoking pot. I had a lot of physical things, and this is what I'm trying to tell you of how you can differentiate whether someone is a good person or a bad person. It is literally how your body responds to them. If your body feels safe, that's usually a good sign. If your body feels like your heart is racing, your stomach gets upset, typically that's a bad sign. With this friend of mine, I noticed that whenever we spoke on the phone after my breakup, these hives, because that's what my rash was, would fucking break out when I was on the phone with him. And it was my first moment of like, wait a damn minute, what's going on here? Because I've been taking care of my body. And then it dawned on me one night as I reflected on our relationship and realized it was a codependent, emotionally manipulative dynamic where he was feeding off of my energy. Even though he was gay, he was a man that was older than me, just like my ex. And it felt like suddenly the naivety that I'd always had left my whole body, and I was like, they're literally the same fucking age. And they both are aware of the fact that I am this kind, angelic person, people pleaser, who is easy to manipulate and to get their needs met through me, because I am an incredible friend and I am very validating. You have to understand that this best friend of mine, he wasn't just like a best friend. It was genuinely a friendship where I did not trust myself enough to make decisions. I would have to run everything by him. This is not his fault. It is simply probably the father that I always was looking for in my dad. I thought I had found in this gay guy when in actuality, it was just another emotionally unavailable man that I was trying to win over. Because a lot of our friendship was me trying to win him over. Even how I felt internally, it felt like I was indebted to him in some way, or like I owed him so much, even though he never really gave me that much. It was just bare minimum of what you would give in a friendship anyway. So when it dawned on me, I realized I had to act on that knowing. It wasn't something that I could go to anybody to talk about. It was this real thing of like, yo, you need to trust yourself right now. Obviously in my conscious mind, I didn't know he was manipulative. I didn't know that the dynamic was literally the same as what I grew up around. But it was like my body knew though. My body knew. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, is like if you experience things in your body, listen to that, because your body will not just be going off for no fucking reason. And so my absolute proof and my validation that I needed to know that I was not fucking crazy and losing my mind, because genuinely we were best friends. I just never would have thought that this friendship would end. I sent him a message explaining that I did not want to be in the friendship anymore, that it mirrored emotionally unavailable dynamics, that I realized it was a trauma bond, and that I don't feel safe anymore in this, and that I'm very grateful for all the times that we had, but it's time for me to move on. And it's really interesting because first he responded with a manipulative message, being super fake fucking kind, being like, oh, well, obviously this is really sad, but I just want to know, is it something that I said or something that I did? Like, could you elaborate further? Could we get on a phone call maybe? And I knew straight away, if he's a manipulator, I cannot get on the phone with him. He's gonna poke holes in my story. He's gonna invalidate me, because that's how our entire friendship was. It was me taking his own judgment all the time over my own. And so I realized this was my spiritual graduation. This was the real villain era moment. The real moment of, I see you. I clock what the fuck is going on here, and no, we will not get on a phone call. Somebody not wanting to be in a relationship, this applies to any and all friendships, relationships, anything. It is a good enough reason for you to say that you don't want something anymore because you don't feel safe. That is a fucking good enough reason. The villain does not owe an explanation to anybody. But because I'm kind-hearted, I ended up replying to his message saying, I don't want to get on a phone call, but basically I realized it's emotionally unavailable, and as I'm opening my heart, I just don't think that this friendship is good for me anymore. He ended up sending me a message saying that what I'm doing is literally so out of character and it makes no sense, because I told him in the past that I felt safe in our friendship, and so what suddenly changed? It's like, first of all, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That is something that often kept me in the conditioning of the good girl. Was my dad would often say, you're acting out of character. Whenever I wasn't being the bigger person who was kind and basically a bitch who bent over backwards for everybody, I was suddenly out of character. What that means is these people no longer have access to manipulate you, and so they call you out of character. They put it on you. They act like you are the villain. And I swear to God, when I saw that message, my heart was motherfucking racing. Like my nervous system was activated in the same way that it was when things would happen with my dad when I cut him off. Like, that was a really hard journey for me to get out of, because I was basically like the golden child, if you know anything about narcissistic dynamics in families. And so my dad would often refer to me as his backbone and put immense pressure on me all the time to do things for him that I did not need to do. Emotional labor. I noticed that that's the exact dynamic I had with this friend. It was just reenacting my father wounds, which is so insane when all of this clicked. And also when my heart was racing and my body was already going through so much, I was like, I don't owe this motherfucker anything. I don't care if we've been friends for 7 years. Fuck you. Fuck you for even responding this way to me right now while I'm going through all this shit. What you should be doing is understanding that this is where I'm coming from and letting me leave this friendship if that's what I desire. It's so funny to me that my ultimate test, my ultimate graduation was recognizing that this spiritual master is not so fucking spiritual, and that my mastery was to leave this person and get them out of my life and be okay with being on my own. And that was so hard because his voice was the voice that I had in my head. Like I said, I made all of my decisions through him. I felt like I couldn't survive on my own. I didn't trust myself. And so when our friendship ended, for the first 3 days, my nervous system was through the roof. It was awful. Like, I didn't even realize that you could feel so activated from a simple friendship. But that was the real initiation into my villain era, and recognizing, you know what, I don't give a fuck what you think about me. My life has been so much fucking better since he's been out of it. And it's sad to say that because he really was such a close friend to me. But when I realized that this relationship was never based on real love, but was just based on transactional love, you know, there's so much more that I could say about this friendship because it really was like such a deep rooted part of my life for a long time. But I'm so proud of myself for recognizing that, and I don't need anybody to validate my decision to do what I need to do for myself and my fucking health. And that's the villain era. And the thing is, we cannot elevate and become the bad bitches that we came here to be if we don't enter the villain era. In the past, I was always so afraid. I always wanted to be liked by everybody. Now I don't care anymore. I don't care. I will call you out. I will cuss you out. It's this true self-acceptance I have of like the strength it's given me to trust myself to be standing here on my own. People who want to misunderstand you are gonna misunderstand you regardless of how understanding you are being. People who don't want to love you for who you are, they're not going to love you no matter how much you bend over backwards or give them what they want. You can't win people over, and you shouldn't. Anybody that you feel like you have to win over is not a safe person to have in your life. You should know that you have intrinsic value. You are worthy and valuable as you are, in your anger, in your bad moments, in all of it. Like, you're not just worthy for certain qualities or for certain things that you give to others. You are worthy at the core of who you are. And it is recognizing that and being okay with cutting people out. It's like Megan Thee Stallion says, I'd rather be a BITCH because that's what you gonna call me when I'm tripping anyway. The truth is, people are gonna fucking hate. People are always gonna have some type of problem. The right people will not though. The right people will stand by your side. So anyways, that is all I have to say for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that this video made you feel hella powerful, hella connected to yourself, because you deserve to feel powerful and connected to yourself. You deserve to stop dimming yourself for the comfort of another fucking dumb bitch. You deserve to be who you are. You deserve to shine boldly and brightly, no matter how it rubs a motherfucker wrong. You deserve to have needs and to speak up for them. You deserve to experience mind-blowing orgasms in bed because you're not afraid to advocate for your needs. Now, just a reminder to check out ScentBird. The link will be in the description box. Use the code Anila55 to get 55% off. Now I wanted to finish off with some affirmations before I let you go. You are worthy. You are powerful. You are bold. You are courageous. You're the one. You are lovable. You are incredible. You are amazing. You came here to do bold things. You came here to stop dimming yourself. You came here to shine authentically. That is all I have to say today. I love you so much. Thank you for staying till the end of the video. Until next time.